The College Game Day Band is back together, and of course, it's at Cameron Indoor Stadium coming up on Saturday. Jay Williams from ESPN. Hey, yeah, not just ESPN, you're everywhere. I know you got a lot of things going on. I heard you doing the game the other night. Makes me feel warm inside to hear your voice on a game. I love you on games. Of course, I had Andrea Carter, I think, in studio, she's awesome. But, it's not Jay Williams in studio, but we had Jay Williams on the game. So you excited to come down here? I know you're giving away a bunch of money.
Well, I'm coming down here to give away $100,000. I mean, now somebody actually, through the randomized selection process that I have, will need to hit a shot beyond half court. But if they do, Adam, hit a shot beyond half court, they will be walking away with $100,000 cash. So I'm pretty excited to do that. That's not going to be on live TV. That's not a part of game day. That's something that I'm doing personally. Wow. It's my money. It's not coming from a brand. It's not coming from a sponsorship. It's, I had this moment a couple of years ago with Chris Long where I just randomly got some courage on TV and just said, I bet you $100,000, thinking to myself, what the hell did I just do? And this guy missed his shot, but I made mine. So I'm still waiting for a check from Chris Long for receipts needed. But now I'm going to give other people an hour starting at 9 o'clock before game day. Anybody can participate. We'll choose 8 random people. We will go through a little bit of a process, and somebody will get a chance to take a shot for $100,000 cash.
So will this be like U.S. currency, or are you going to write a check?
Oh no, it's like a boxer with their entry music. That's how I will be walking into Cameron Indoor Stadium with sparklers and a pretty life-size, large check for $100,000. Carried by 2 of my security guys behind me. That's how we're walking into Cameron.
All right. Okay? It would be like a nightclub. It would be awesome though if you made it rain with $100,000 in cash. Now I've seen you hit a half court shot on game day before.
I mean,
in a sport coat.
Multiple shots. I made multiple shots. It's this is what I do, right? This is what I love to do. It's when I hear fans in the crowd, right, and you got to think about how many games you and I, Adam, how many games we've covered over our time, you longer than me in the sport, but the amount of times I've heard people say, Jay Williams, you suck.
Right.
Jay Williams, you can't shoot. So what I've been doing over the last several game days is been carrying around $2,000 to $3,000 on me, and I just randomly call people from the crowd. I'm like, okay, let's see if you suck. Let's see if you can't shoot. Here's a shot from the three-point line for $500. And it always blows my mind. And it's so fun because also, when we're at games, I could bring opposing fans from the team that they're playing against that day, so they get booed. Kids like, I've never felt what it's like to be booed by 10,000 people. I'm like, well, that's how it feels. Not easy just to shoot a shot when you're being booed, told that you stink, right? So it allows me to kind of play into that. And at the end of the day, man, Adam, like, you know who I am. Like, I just like being around people. I like kicking it. I like having fun, bringing kids on the court, young kids who are like 7, 8 years old, but then also bringing grown people on the court who are 18, 19, 20 years old. And I feel like with everything going on, there are student loans right now and the debt that we have in the world, if I give some college kid a chance to win $100,000 and they knock it, like, I'm happy. I'm a little bit salty I gave my money away, but ultimately I'm happy for them.
That is an awesome thing. That is a tremendous thing. And that pretty much covers like a semester and a half at Duke.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully inflation doesn't keep going up. I mean, it would have covered 2 years, 15 years ago, but times are different now. Things are different.
Times are very different. Jay Williams is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Do you know what your record was against UNC?
Was it it was something like 7-1.
It was exactly
like
7-1. Exactly 7-1.
I had to say something just to act like I didn't know, but just know that I knew.
7-1. Yes.
Well, I was spiteful, Adam. You know what? Because I grew up in I've told you I grew up in North Carolina.
That's right.
Man. So, it's funny. Whenever I say anything positive about North Carolina or that I love North Carolina, which I do, it's Baby Blue, it's Michael Jordan. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's Kenny Smith, it's Vince Carter, Jerry Stackhouse. I love all those guys. I played with the New Jersey Nets for a short stint with Vince. I love them, man. They're my family. We have fun. We talk trash. That's what we do. But, every time I say something positive, the Duke people hate me. And then when I say something critical of North Carolina, Duke people are like, thank you, yes. And it's the same thing with Duke. When I say something positive, of course he's going to say something positive about Duke. He's a homer. Or when I say something critical, he's always hating on us. So I just say what I think. That's how I feel these days. I'm not going to win regardless, Adam.
Well, no, you're in the same position I am. It is funny. There are people who believe that I am a UNC homer and hate Duke, and there are people who believe the opposite. Who is your best friend who played at UNC?
Probably Joseph Forte.
Oh, okay.
I mean, people don't. You grow up playing AAU ball. Now, look, when our feet are across that line, like we're competing.
Yeah.
But like Adam, you know how many nights I spent over at Chapel Thrill, Adam?
Oh, of course.
They call it Chapel Thrill for a reason. All right, so we were always over there. We hung out all the time, and that's just what it was. But I always feel like it's the fans who aren't really on the campuses, but the outside fans that are ones you should hate each other. But honestly, us we wanted to beat. I wanted to beat Brendan Haywood. That's my boy now.
Right.
I wanted to beat Julius Peppers. I lived in the same building as him in Miami. So we all have known each other. We're all cool because obviously we're all trying to get to the pros and the next level. But still, it didn't mean that we didn't want to compete whenever we stepped our feet across that line.
So Joe Forte won one of your Conference Player of the Year awards, right?
He got one. He got it. He deserved it. But trust me, it's always been in the back of my mind.
Jay Williams is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. What is your best memory of the rivalry? I want to get to these two teams, but what is your best memory of the rivalry?
Probably my senior night, having 38 against them, and probably missing multiple chippies to have a 40-plus game.
Right.
I definitely missed about 3 or 4 chippies. I could have had about 46 or 48. But it was something about, my senior night as a junior graduating school year early, surpassing the NBA draft my sophomore year. But, that stamp, right? The first big tournament I played in AU-wise where I started to get recognized was the Bob Givens tournament, at Chapel Hill. So, that baby blue always brought me back to, where I started to find myself. It was probably between that game and then the game, obviously, where we went into Chapel Hill after losing Carlos Boozer. And I think I had 36 that game, too, where we just took the wind out of the building. It felt great to do that.
Guys went small and absolutely blew them off the court.
Adam, a common theme, 36-point games, 30-point games. That seems to be a common thing with North Carolina and me.
Jay Williams is joining us here. By the way, I'm glad you clarified that you graduated early and it was your senior night because you were graduating. I was going to ask you about junior night, but you beat me to it. All right, so you had the game, Carolina at Pitt, which, look, Carolina's got a flawed roster. They don't have great inside presence, and I think that is probably putting it mildly. What was your takeaway from that game?
North Carolina is a team that doesn't feel together to me. Granted, their roster challenges, but it was. I mean, you texted me after the game, Adam. We talked about it briefly. That moment with 29 seconds kind of epitomized what I had thought about this team in particular, but I saw it in real time, and I reacted to it in a very authentic way. Also, that game against Pitt was the 24-year anniversary of my Miracle Minute against Maryland, right? So everything that I've seen in college basketball this year, whether it's Houston and Kansas giving away multiple possessions, and Houston sending the game into overtime, whether it's Arizona and Iowa State, Caleb Love hitting a shot from half court, then winning the game in overtime. Notre Dame being up 4 points with the possession, losing the game. You're always in the game if you stay in the game mentally. And when I saw North Carolina miss a shot and they're down 4 with 29 seconds left to go in the game, and Pitt's going back to shoot a free throw, and Pitt is huddling. And I'm seeing Jalen Lowe, I'm seeing Damian Dunn communicate what they're going to do after the made free throw. And I'm watching North Carolina as 5 individuals, like not even really jog down the court, but nobody's even giving eye contact to one another. Their body language is poor. They didn't even huddle. Elliot Cadeau was really the only one looking over at Hubert trying to get direction. But I'm thinking to myself, as a point guard in this moment, Adam, I'm bringing my team in. Look, we're going to win this damn game. We're only down 4 with 29 seconds left to go. If he makes these 2 free throws, let's come down. Let's get a bucket. Let's try to – here's the play. Let's try to foul. Here's the press we're going to be in. Let's rake down. Let's try to get a steal first, and we'll foul. Who should we be fouling? Here's the worst free throw shooter on the court if they don't do any substitutions. Like, who's thinking the game that way with that sense of urgency? But they all stayed fragmented. They all stayed dispersed. And it felt as if with 29 seconds to go, they had already known that they were going to lose that game.
Yeah.
And that was eye-opening to me. I think that was a big issue for them with lack of leadership and toughness and togetherness. And those are things that help you win games when the games are in those meaningful moments, especially for a team that's had so many one-possession games. You would think they're way more experienced to learn how to win those games by being together, but that's not the team I saw. And I thought that was the most alarming thing.
Yeah, especially because you brought up the game at Notre Dame. The fact that they won that game that they really had no business winning. Notre Dame pretty much handed it to them, but North Carolina still had to take it. But it was there. And Boston College at the Smith Center, that was a game that Carolina probably should have lost. But, you know, if you stay in it, you can do some things and force mistakes. Let me ask you about Duke, because we don't have a ton of time left. But Duke is in a position now where it occurs to me that some of the teams you played on were in very similar positions, where you knew that you were significantly better than the team across on the other bench. And that may be the case coming up on Saturday. To me it is, but it's the case almost every game in the league this year. That, to me, that's more about Duke, even though the league is down. How do you approach it? You can't change your approach, but it's natural to kind of almost relax at times. How hard is it for Duke to treat everybody like they're going to beat you?
Well, I think it would be extremely difficult if this were just a team of young players, but it's not. You know, we often refer to Duke as an old young basketball team. You know, you have Malawat, you have Con Knipple, you have Cooper Flagg, you have this incredible youth that continues to shine, but you also have guys who have been around the block. You know, you have Mason Gillis, you have other players that have been seasoned, have been experienced, that have been through the gauntlet, that can keep the standard at the level it needs to be. And I would say, Adam, that the 2 things that stand out the most to me about this Duke team is, number one, the fact that there hasn't been a precipitous drop-off of the Mount Everest of success that this school has had from Coach K to Jon Scheyer speaks volumes about Jon Scheyer.
Yep.
Speaks volumes about him. And then the biggest thing that I'm keeping my eye on and how Jon continues to develop this is games at the end of the game, those one-possession games where Duke needs to get a bucket. How does he go about that from a strategy perspective, right? And I think there's a learning curve for Jon that we're constantly seeing continue to evolve and mature, especially with this personnel. So, you know, I think you'll see something different as it relates to end-of-game situations. We've seen, like, it's Cooper Flagg bringing the ball up the court. Like, how do you get him operationally in zones in the half court where he can get the defense moving from side to side and he can turn more, read, and react instead of everybody knowing that the possession is going to come from him and the ball being in his hands and being so visible? I think you're still seeing Jon in the growth of Coach Scheyer as a coach in real time. And I think ultimately that's how you win NCAA tournament games, right? And I think that shows the maturation for Jon, and that's something I'm continuing to keep my eye on to watch.
Yeah, I thought he was right, though, also on Monday night when he said, I didn't prepare them for the game that State was going to play, which was about emotion and physicality, and they scrapped, and it was a quick turnaround after the game at Wake on Saturday. But NC State was super impressive. I don't know how that team isn't winning more games based on what I saw Monday night. But, I guess when you're looking across the court at Duke, and especially that particular Duke team, you're going to give them your best shot. I'd love to see NC State replicate that against whatever their next team is. Virginia Tech, Virginia, go out and do that to the other team. NC State's record would be a ton different. Did you like being at home or on the road in this game?
For me personally, I love that baby blue court. I felt so comfortable there. I mean, I felt comfortable at Cameron too, but there was nothing better than going into that place and just sending fans home early. There's nothing better. And also, like, the trash talking, like, I'm not even a trash talker, but just, like, going back to all the places where we got our hair cut or whether we were getting groceries and being able to look Carolina fans in the eye that I knew were Carolina fans that couldn't say anything to me and I would just smile was the most rewarding feeling of all time.
Wait, you didn't trash talk Drew Nicholas or Terrence Morris or Juan Dixon in the anniversary of your 10 points in 60 seconds comeback?
I mean, I don't really need to trash talk it. I mean, social media just puts it out everywhere. I think that does the trash talking for me.
See, that was when I was still a Maryland fan. That's my school.
I knew you went. I've never heard you say that out loud before.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I was a huge. Not only, I mean, it's where I graduated from, but until I would say, well, I think I sort of stopped when Gary retired.
Gary was the best, man.
The best. Absolute. Oh my gosh.
Man. Having a drink with Gary as an older man, I'm like, I love you.
Yeah.
You were everything I would have played for as a coach. Now I see why Juan and Steve and all these guys talk so highly of you all the time.
He was tremendous. I loved everything about Gary Williams. He was nuts. Like we have to first say that he was a crazy person.
Yes.
But
they all are, though.
That is true. That is very true. All right, before I let you go, I heard this last night. I was watching the Knicks and the Nuggets last night. Karl Anthony Towns went to your high school?
Yeah, I told Jay Billis because he's like, so Jay is not the greatest player to come out of St. Joseph's High School. I'm like, well, it's just because we have a high standard of success. There's only so many of us that could be the number 1, number 2 pick in the draft, and that's a good first class problem to have. We also had Andrew Bynum went to my school.
Look at that.
Wade Phillips went to our school, so we had a lot of big time talent come through St. Joseph's High School, Metuchen.
How about that, Metuchen, New Jersey? The Metuchen's finest. All right, man. Good luck giving away $100,000. I hope you give it away.
I hope I don't, but I do hope I do. How about that?
You wouldn't be putting it up if you didn't want to give it away.
Fair point.
I know you.
Right,
I know you too well.
You, brother.
I'll talk to you very soon.
All right, man.